Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and it is Sunday, so we are doing Breaches of the Week, and don't forget to subscribe. This week in Breaches, absolutely nuts. And with that, let's dive right in. But first things first, thank you very much to Teddy Garrity, Tom Honore, Hillary Altman, and Sean Donahue for sending me a good chunk of these. It's always appreciated. And with that, let's start with Zapier. You may have heard of them. They are the automation platform that allows you to connect one thing to another and perform tasks. They just informed customers this past Friday that an unauthorized user accessed, quote, certain Zapier code repositories, end quote, and may have gained access to customer information as a result. Now, the customer data had been, quote, inadvertently copied to the repositories for debugging purposes, according to their email. And here we are. In other words, they didn't want to put the code in there, but they did. So those code repositories should not have had data, but after auditing them, Zapier discovered they had inadvertently copied some of that data over, and the attacker was able to access these repositories because of a, quote, two-factor authentication misconfiguration on an employee's account. So there we are. Heads up if you use Zapier. Moving on. Let's talk about DISA Global Solutions, or DISA. This possibly is going to be one of the bigger breaches of 2025 because a data breach over at DISA Global Solutions, and for the record, they're a third-party employment screening service provider, another one with a whole bunch of information, just got hit and impacted 3.3 million people, according to them. Now, they provide drug and alcohol testing and background checks, said that they discovered this on April 22nd of last year. Way to go, guys, for this delay. And basically, they were the victim of a cyber attack that gave an unauthorized third party access to individuals' information between February 9th through April 22nd of last year. And this is according to their notice. We're talking names, social security numbers, driver's license numbers, other government IDs, financial account information, and other data elements. If they're doing background checks and drug tests, you know they got data on you. So heads up, if you've ever had one of those for, let's say, a job or whatever, good luck to all of us. And with that, let's move on to our mini segment simply entitled, If You Just Spent Money on Cybersecurity, You Wouldn't Be Getting Sued, You Wouldn't Be Paying Out, and I definitely wouldn't be talking about you here as your reputation's being ruined. And with that, let's talk about the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center. I mentioned them a while ago. They finally went through their class action process and settled their lawsuit for an $11.5 million. Next up is T-Mobile. Yes, they're always in breaches of the week because every other week it seems like they're having it. And there's been quite a few T-Mobile ones, but their latest round of class actions just settled as well. And they're going to be shelling out $350 million in basically the massive class action, or the massive data breach they had a couple of years ago. And so heads up to you, if you're a T-Mobile customer, you will be getting paid, but definitely the lawyers will be. So there you are. Moving on, Charleston Area Medical Center. Now, they are getting sued due to a data breach that may have compromised patient information. This is a class action lawsuit that was filed in the United States District Court for the Southern District of West Virginia on Tuesday, February 25th, on behalf of 3 patients and, quote, on behalf of all others similarly situated, basically due to this compromise. Now, according to the lawsuit, one of those plaintiffs actually is a fraud investigator as well, and so this is going to be a mess. But Charleston Area Medical Center on the chopping block for that. And so those essentially were your big lawsuits of the week. If any of them had just spent money on cybersecurity, they wouldn't be ruining their reputations, they wouldn't be paying out, and I definitely wouldn't be talking about them. Moving on, Restorix Health. On Valentine's Day of this year, they filed with Health and Human Services after an unauthorized party gained access to an employee's account. We're talking about the usual things: names, dates of birth, driver's license, passport, social security, medical information, prescription information, and health insurance information as well. Restorix Health is sending out notices, as is St. Clair Orthopedics, because on January 30th, they also filed with Health and Human Services. And essentially, it's the same thing: unauthorized access, names, social security numbers, driver's license, billing info, health insurance information, and medical information. And St. Clair Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is sending out notices also. Same with the Cardiology of Virginia. On January 28th, they filed with Health and Human Services. Unauthorized party accessed them. I don't have a list of what information was hit, but they do say sensitive information was hit. And so Cardiology of Virginia is essentially notifying everybody. Moving on, let's get away from healthcare just for a little bit. and talk about Cafe Zupas. Zulus LC DBA Cafe Zupas filed with Vermont after an unauthorized party was able to gain access to their network, and Cafe Zupas explained that the incident resulted in an unauthorized third party getting access to sensitive information, and names and social security numbers were included. Cafe Zupas is sending out notices. Nuna Baby Essentials, which I think I've actually heard of, on February 21, Nuna Baby filed with Maine after discovering an unauthorized party was able to gain access to their infrastructure. Sensitive information was hit, but I don't have a listing on that one, and Nuna Baby is sending out notices. So if you have anything to do with them or buy their products or have a Nuna Baby, heads up. Moving on, yes, with an exclamation point, Communities. On February 24th, they filed with Texas after basically discovering suspicious activity on their network. And we are talking about names, address, driver's license, and social security numbers all being hit. Yes, Communities, again, exclamation point, basically is sending out notices. Moving on, RX Site, because we've got to get back to healthcare at some point. On November 29th, they filed with Montana after discovering an unauthorized party accessed an employee email box. Names and medical information was included in this, and RX Site is sending out notices as well. Moving on, Via Credit Union on February 24th, they also filed with Maine after discovering an unauthorized party accessed basically their computer systems and acquired certain files. Via Credit says that names, social security numbers, addresses, dates of birth, and financial information, essentially financial account information, was caught up in this. Via Credit Union is sending out notices as well. So heads up. I'm a fan of credit unions, but not when they're breached. Moving on, Somnia, I'm guessing, filed with Health and Human Services, basically saying that their email system was compromised by an unauthorized third party. And so the usual data is at play here: names, social security numbers, addresses, dates of birth, health information, and health insurance information are caught up in this as well. Somnia is sending out notifications. Moving on, Interlink Health Services. On February 19th, they filed with Massachusetts after discovering an email account was accessed in an unauthorized manner, and names and protected health information were caught up with Interlink, who is now sending out notices as well. Moving on, Decision Fi filed with New Hampshire after discovering certain files on their network was subject to unauthorized access. I do not have a listing, but they do say sensitive information was hit, and Decision Fi, which I'm guessing is finance, is sending out notices as well. Moving on, let's head on over to France and talk about Orange Group. Now, they are a leading French telecommunications operator and digital service provider. An attacker claims to have stolen thousands of internal documents with user records, employee data, and more after breaching these systems. And according to the threat actor, who goes by the alias Ray, R-E-Y, and is a member of the Hellcat ransomware group, the stolen data is mostly from the Romanian branch of the company and includes 380,000 unique email addresses, source code, invoices, contacts, contracts, customer, and employee information as well. So, here we are. And finally, and this was a shorter week, but I promise you we'll be back and forth, next weekend. But here we are. And what I want to talk about is the good guys, because quite frankly, sometimes we win. Now, for this news, we have to go to Thailand because Thai police arrested a suspected hacker extortionist tied to more than 90 global data breaches. Now, the suspect, who has not been named, is accused of perpetrating 65 data breaches in the Asia-Pacific region alone. Now, the Royal Thai Police collaborated with the Singapore police force to identify and detain a 39-year-old man this past Wednesday. Quote, the threat actor is suspected to have exploited vulnerabilities in the victim's networks before stealing the victim's data. That's according to the Singapore police force in a statement distributed to local press. Quote, the threat actor is also suspected to have published the stolen data for sale online when victims failed to pay the ransom demanded, end quote. Now, the police said they seized laptops, mobile phones, luxury goods, and vehicles worth more than $300,000. So remember, kids, crime does pay, but only for a limited time. So The suspect operated under a variety of aliases, including Alt-DOS, which basically was focused on Southeast Asia. Some of the other aliases included Desorden, Ghost R, and OMID16B. You can figure out the lead speak on that one. And those were involved in attacks across the globe. Now, Singapore basically has a Singapore-based cybersecurity firm, Group IB, which assisted in the investigation and described the suspect as being, quote, one of the most active cyber criminals in the Asia Pacific since 2021, selling more than 13 terabytes of personal data on the dark web. Group IB also said the suspect's decision to change his alias was an apparent attempt to make his efforts tougher to trace, which obviously makes sense. You're obfuscating your trail, right? Now, the firm said it helped police connect the various aliases to a single suspect by, quote, linking his activities through writing styles, posting patterns, and account timelines, despite bans for scamming and multi-accounting, end quote. And that's exactly how that stuff works. You start to understand patterns and signatures. You know, we have cadences, we have mannerisms. I have no doubt that I repeat multiple words throughout all of my videos, and by virtue of that, I could essentially be tracked or understood as a result of it, even if I'm changing my name. We're creatures of habit, and our writing and our style, and not to mention the techniques we would use if he's, let's say, known for very specific techniques, and we start seeing that across multiple usernames, we're going to glom onto that as well. So obviously, it's a very interesting thing that the understanding and the forensics of that. But here we are, and like I said, kids, crime pays, but not forever. And so make sure you're on the good side. And with that, those were your breaches of the week. A little shorter of a week, but nevertheless, super, super important. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please, please, please attempt to stay private, informed, and secure. Take care.